Moedim L'Simcha, good evening. Moedim L'Simcha in English, wishing you joy on this holiday, a traditional greeting for the Sukkot holiday. And I can't think really of a more apt welcome for tonight's call. I'm Rabbi Jenny Rosen, and it's bringing me so much joy to be here with all of you, kicking off Dayanu's new campaign, A Time to Build Climate, Jobs, and Justice for All. I'm Dayanu's founder and CEO, and I'll be your MC for the evening. As we get started, I just want to let you know, for those who need it, we're working on closed captions. Simply select captions at the bottom of your screen. Please also note that we're recording tonight's program for anyone who's not able to make it. We'll be turning off the chat for parts of tonight's program, parts of the time it will be on. When we turn it off, it's really so you can focus on the program. If you run into any tech problems, please feel free to ask for help just by chatting the hosts. Those of you who've been on our launches and calls before know that I don't usually play the MC role, but it's the holiday of Sukkot, which is all about radical hospitality. It's customary to invite ushpizin, visitors and guests, into our sukkahs. So it felt very fitting for me to welcome you into Dayanu's newest campaign. As the founder of Dayanu, well, I've been here since the start, but I'm really curious to know who in the Zoom room this evening is here. So we're going to launch a poll in just a second to hear from you. Is this your first Dayanu event? Are you a member of a Dayanu circle or a college campus? Are you considering starting or joining a Dayanu circle? So we're going to launch that poll now. Considering joining a Dayanu circle. Wow. So great to see such a mix of first-timers and people who've been working with us for a few years now. Great to have longtime Dayanu leaders here, member of a Dayanu circle or a college student that organizes with Dayanu. Really great to have you all here tonight. For those of you who are new to Dayanu, especially glad to have you here. And as you hopefully saw from the introductions in the chat when everyone first logged on, we are Jewish climate activists from across the country who are all committed to confronting the climate crisis with spiritual audacity and bold political action. It's going to take all of us bringing our gifts to win and build a just and livable future. And to do this not only for now, but for generations to come. We've seen what the climate movement can do when we take collective action. You'll recall just over a year ago, after decades of mounting public pressure and a sustained 18-month campaign that many of you were involved in, Congress passed the Inflation Reduction Act, really the first major piece of federal legislation to confront the climate crisis in US history. And this new law really represents a down payment on a livable future and a catalyst for America's rapid transition to clean energy. But, and this is very apt for this season of the high holidays, but the future remains to be written. It's really up to us. Which brings me to today, the 5th day of Sukkot. On Sukkot, we read traditionally from the book of Kohelet, or Ecclesiastes in English, and we read, "A season is set for everything, a time for every experience under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to break down and a time to build up." And this really is our inspiration for this new campaign. There is a season for everything, good and bad, active and passive, joyful and somber. The urgency of the climate crisis really demands immediate, bold action, and now is the time. Having won historic climate legislation with hundreds of billions of dollars of investment in clean energy, transportation, housing, many other sectors of our economy, It's a time to build, to build a just, clean energy future. In order to build, we first need to envision what is it that we are building. And so it's really my delight to introduce Chloe Zelka, Dayenu's Climate, Arts, and Spiritual Adaptation Fellow. Chloe's a fourth-year rabbinical student at the Reconstructionist Rabbinical College and is going to lead us in some collective visioning. What is this just and livable future that we so desperately need? So welcome, Chloe.
Thank you, Jenny. So as you mentioned, I'm Dayenu's Climate, Arts, and Spiritual Adaptation Fellow. So awesome to see everyone on this call. So what's spiritual adaptation? Spiritual adaptation refers to the strategies of emotional and spiritual resilience anchored in Jewish wisdom that we need to spiritually resource ourselves to confront the climate crisis and to cultivate our own courage. Spiritual adaptation invites us to acknowledge and to metabolize some of our feelings of loss and anger and maybe anxiety, which may have been stoked by a summer of extreme weather. We had climate fires and record heat waves and coastlines inundated by rising waters. Spiritual adaptation also calls on us to cultivate a sense of possibility and active hope, like many of us experienced when we saw, and actually some of us were there, we joined tens of thousands of people who were marching through the streets of New York City last month, calling for an end to the fossil fuels that are burning up our planet and poisoning our communities. Lastly, spiritual adaptation enables us to cultivate hope and to move us into courageous action, which we're doing together tonight. So we know it's going to take courage. It's going to take trying things we've never done before, and persistence, and demanding change, and holding our policymakers to account if they fail to deliver. And it's going to take strength to overcome setbacks and to keep moving forward in a climate changed world. So as we embark on this new campaign, we want to fortify ourselves and each other by painting a collective picture of the just and livable future that we want and we need. So as you know, Dayenu's new campaign is called A Time to Build. And so I want to invite three Dayenu leaders, Ellie, Alana, and Anya, to share their vision of the future, what we need to build in their communities. Ellie.
Oh, thank you, Chloe. Thanks for everybody for being here. I'm Eli Gerfinkel. I'm the chair of the Dayenu Circle at Temple Beth Emet in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And my vision that Chloe was introducing is in Ann Arbor, it's time to build the infrastructure for community solar, where large solar installations provide power to multiple homes through microgrids and a battery storage system. So when I turn on my coffee maker, switch on my lights in the morning, I know it's powered by solar panels at a nearby park. And that's here in our community in Ann Arbor. In Michigan, in the state of Michigan, it is time to expand the authority of our state energy regulator to factor climate change into their decisions and to mandate that providers of electricity source all their power from renewable sources. Thank you.
Thanks, Ellie. Alana. Alana's working on unmuting. Anya, can you?
There we go. Oh,
Alana,
sorry.
great.
Took a second to be allowed to unmute there. Hi, everyone. I'm Alana. I live in Portland, Oregon, on the unceded lands of the Multnomah, Cowlitz, Clackamas, Kalapuya, and many other Indigenous peoples. I co-lead an intergenerational Dayenu Circle with Judy, who is also on the call tonight. Our vision for our community here in Portland is that we are no longer a stepping stone for the global fossil fuel industry. Portland currently is a major transport hub for crude oil, and our neighbors are at risk with oil trains running throughout much of the city. Many of us are in what's called a blast zone. It's time to build and scale up abundant wind and solar panel and ensure that Indigenous sovereignty is prioritized in this transition.
Hi, I'm Anya Gordon in Raleigh, North Carolina. We've just started our new Dayenu Circle here. Here we're on Cherokee and Tuscarora lands. We want to engage and build mass public participation in climate action here. We're advocating for every renter, homeowner, and all our institutions to upgrade their energy to renewable energy. We envision our community reducing energy waste, planting more trees, and electing leaders who pledge for climate action.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now it's our turn. Now it's your turn in the chat to finish this sentence. In my city or community, it's time to build something. What's it time to build for you? Or if you prefer, a just and livable future looks like or feels like. And our leaders beautifully shared specific solutions and policies, but don't let that limit you. You can think expansively about the felt sense of what this future might look like or feel like. So go ahead and start writing in the chat if you like. It looks like solar synagogues I'm seeing. Everyone breathing clean air, beautiful. Looks like critical mass, amen. Thanks, Lawrence from Virginia. It's time to end destructive fossil fuel infrastructure, yes. Seeing a lot about renewable energy. Taking on environmental racism. So these can keep coming in. They're filling me up. I can taste it. Can you feel it? So thanks all for participating, and feel free to keep populating the chat with these beautiful visions. We're going to save this chat and we'll read through all your answers so that during the campaign, we can share back some of these themes and ideas. But in the meantime, I'm going to turn it back to Jenny.
Thanks, Chloe. Yashikah. What a powerful way to start your fellowship, and what a powerful way for us to kick off the evening. And a great introduction to Dayenu's spiritual adaptation work. We'll drop a link in the chat so that you can also learn more about this whole area of Dayenu's programming. So now we will move from the future that we need, that we envision, that we dream of, to the present political reality. So we just narrowly avoided a federal government shutdown. We also know that we are by no means out of the woods. And in a minute, I'll hand it over to my colleague, Dalia Rockowitz, Dayenu's Director of Campaigns and Partnership, to help us understand how did we get here and why do we need this particular campaign at this moment. To give you a little bit more of a sense of the rest of the evening, you'll then hear from the newest member of the Dayenu team, Noah Gordon-Guterman, our New York organizer, who will talk about how you can join the campaign. What does that look like for you? There'll be a chance for you to meet briefly in breakout rooms for a few minutes with other folks from your area. And of course, there will be a great live musical performance to fill our spirits. Over to you, Dalia.
Thanks, Jenny. And I know that there is guidance being dropped in the chat, but just wanted to confirm that we have two solutions if you're looking for closed captions. One of them is to leave and rejoin the meeting. We think we have fixed the setting issue. And also stay tuned because we're working on a modified transcript as well. So just want to thank you for your patience. So diving in to where we are at this moment, I am sitting here tonight in Washington, D.C., where, as Jenny said, lawmakers narrowly avoided a government shutdown by passing a short-term budget extension. Let's be clear. The risk of a shutdown was and remains the result of a manufactured crisis. Extremists in the House of Representatives, many of whom accept fat checks from big oil and gas, attempted to hold the government hostage over critical funds, including Inflation Reduction Act dollars. Don't let the name confuse you. The Inflation Reduction Act authorized over $370 billion in clean energy, transportation, regenerative agriculture, manufacturing, building electrification, which are just some of the climate solutions that are funded in this legislation. It's estimated that over the next decade, the Inflation Reduction Act could help create 9 billion jobs. But nothing about winning the largest investment in climate in US history was inevitable. I'll repeat that. This outcome was never a given. It was made possible by people power, decades of grassroots organizing and movement building led by frontline communities and youth activists. And more recently, Jewish climate organizers and Dayenu leaders doing their part to get climate on Joe Biden's agenda before the 2020 election, organizing 16 shofar-blowing rallies outside key senators' offices, including one featuring Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, generating thousands of calls and letters to members of Congress, and joining with dozens of other faith leaders to make a moral call for peace and climate justice. If you participated in one of those actions, or really any action to help pass federal climate legislation, I want you to drop a plus sign in the chat. Again, if you participated in a Dayenu action or another action to help pass the Inflation Reduction Act, climate legislation that at the first time passed through at the federal level, drop a plus sign in the chat. Amazing. Keep those coming. We're going to keep the chat on. Really, really thank you, Yasher Koach. As a longtime Jewish organizer and trainer, Heather Booth says, when we organize, we win. But at the same time, we are clear-eyed that this historic legislation is far from perfect. Fossil fuel corporations and the politicians who do their bidding were able to win concessions, opening up more land and water to oil and gas drilling, and offering generous tax breaks for dirty energy companies. But the law represents hope for a new kind of world, not one that is perfect, but one that gives future generations a fighting chance to survive and to thrive. Now, 1 year in, historic investments in clean energy, good jobs, and environmental justice are starting to flow to communities through federal grants, loan guarantees, and tax credits. To date, the Inflation Reduction Act has created at least 74,000 jobs through over 200 clean energy projects in 38 states. And really, that's just a conservative estimate because new projects are announced and projects are coming online every single day. Meanwhile, a federal analysis found that the law, in conjunction with other recent infrastructure legislation, will save American families $38 billion. That's $38 billion in electricity costs over the next 10 years. That is real dollars in the pockets of working families. And here is what's really exciting. Just like the resources of the sun and the wind, this legislation has limitless potential. Interest in federal tax credits has soared, combined with additional investments and incentives at the state level, which are being developed right now. The economic, community, and climate benefits of the Inflation Reduction Act increase exponentially. But this success is provoking opponents of climate action, as we just saw with the government shutdown showdown. And it's not even the first time that these fossil fuel funded extremists have gone after climate investments. They've actually made a sweet 16 attempts to claw back money. This moment demands that we protect these funds ensure that everyone can share in the benefits such as good union jobs, clean air and water, affordable energy bills, and accessible transportation. And this is especially true for historically marginalized communities. Plus, we need to call on lawmakers at all levels of government to pass stronger, more ambitious policies designed to safeguard our futures. This is why we're launching Dayenu new campaign. A Time to Build Climate Jobs and Justice for All is a campaign calling on our policymakers to deliver on the promise of historic climate legislation and ensure that climate, jobs, and justice reach every community, especially those that need it the most, without delay. Here's the plan. As I shared, the gains we've made are already under threat. First, we need to advocate with Congress to protect climate legislation from rollbacks and pass a clean budget without delay. Second, we will call on federal and state officials to ensure that climate investments reach every community without delay, especially communities on the front line of poverty, racism, and pollution. And let me unpack this a little further. We know that without proper government oversight and public scrutiny, funds could get caught up in red tape, or worse, get channeled to just a few large corporations. Similarly, funds could go to unproven, expensive, and frankly risky technology like hydrogen and carbon capture over the objections of environmental justice groups and allies. It is essential that investments reach those who have and will continue to be impacted by the climate crisis first and worst. These historically marginalized communities, Black, Brown, Indigenous, rural poor, and communities transitioning away from fossil fuel intensive industries, have been overlooked and actively excluded in the past. At the same time, these are the very same communities that are leading some of the most innovative clean energy solutions, and we need to make sure that federal funds are reaching them. Okay, back to our goals. The third and final, and I really love this goal, we need to make the vision of a just and livable future, the vision that all of you just shared in the chat and that we got to hear a few Dayenu leaders share with Chloe as part of our visioning exercise. We need to make that vision of a just and livable future so compelling that Americans are inspired to demand their policies take further action at the scale that science and justice demand. Over the course of the campaign, we will use a variety of tactics, including direct advocacy to members of Congress and state officials, teach-ins to educate voters and other community members, and public-facing actions to keep the pressure on policymakers and inspire the public. We'll be targeting Congress and the Biden administration and in a few states, some state officials to ensure that the money is making it to communities. And states are working right now to decide how these funds will be distributed. So really now is the time for us to weigh in. A time to weigh in. You see what I did there? Throughout the campaign, we will take inspiration from Kohelet, embracing different times, times to gather, times to speak up, and times to celebrate. Now, I know I shared a lot of information, and I imagine folks could use a few minutes to let it settle. So before we move to our campaign plans for the fall, I am really excited to introduce what comes next. We are lucky to have Kyle Lemley lead us in a song this evening. To encourage a community feel and to give Kyle an audience, as he deserves, we encourage you to turn on your cameras for this portion of the program. Welcome, Kyle. Kyle is a Jewish forester, organizer, and founder and co-director of Wild Choir, a social justice and interfaith choir in the East Bay. We will make sure to drop Kyle and Wild Choir's details in the chat so you know where to learn more. Kyle, take it away.
Thank you so much. Can everyone hear me? It's good to be with you all. I'm a big fan of Dayenu, and I used to be an organizer with Green Faith when Dayenu was just starting. So awesome to see how much you've grown, and congratulations on your campaign. And can't wait to get involved with Dayenu stuff here in the Bay. I'm about to go celebrate Sukkot with Wilderness Torah. So I'll spread the good word. I'm going to sing a song one that we've sang in the streets here at Bay Area Climate Marches. It's called We Are Ready by my friend Dina, who's in Wild Choir with me. And I'll sing it once all the way through, I think, and then I'll do call and response so that you guys can sing on mute, but hopefully, our harmonies will reverberate and we'll find each other through the virtual web. So we'll do it a few times until we get it. And I think someone's going to put the lyrics in the chat. Oh, they're already there. Great. Here we go. We are ready. We are moving. Peace will set us free. We are ready. We are moving. We are waking from this dream. We are ready. We are moving. Peace will set us free. We are ready. We are moving. We are waking from this dream. We are dangerous when we put our trust completely in love, completely in us. We are dangerous when we put our trust completely in love, completely in us. All right, let's do call and response. Here we go. We are ready. We are ready. We are moving. We are moving. Peace will set us free. Peace will set us free. We are ready, we are ready, we are moving, we are moving, we are waking from this dream. We are waking from this dream. Here's the second part. We are dangerous when we put our trust completely in love, completely in us. Now you, we are dangerous when we put our trust completely in love, completely in love. One more time. We are dangerous when we put our trust completely in love, completely in us. We are dangerous when we put our trust completely in love, completely in love. All together from the beginning. We are ready. We are moving. Peace will set us free. We are ready. Come on, Diana. We are moving. We are waking from this dream. Like that, we are ready. Everyone on the screen, we are moving all across the country. We are, peace will set us free. We are ready. We are moving. We are waking from this dream. Climate, jobs, and justice, y'all. We are dangerous when we put our trust completely in love, completely in us. We are dangerous when we put our trust completely in love, completely in us. 2 more times. We are dangerous when we put our trust completely in love, completely in us. We are dangerous when we put our trust completely in love, completely in us. Thank y'all. See you out in the streets. Let's go.
Bravo. Thank you so much, Kyle. You can give a little love to Kyle in the chat. We're ready and we're moving. What a beautiful way to start our conversation about how you can get involved in A Time to Build. I'm Dayenu, Dayenu's New York organizer, Noah Gordon Guterman. And I'd love to start by sharing a personal story of agency and inspiration. So 3 weeks ago, as Chloe mentioned, I was proud to join 75,000 people, including a delegation of Jews, marching through the streets of New York City, calling on President Biden and world leaders to stop approving dirty fossil fuel projects. Ending the era of fossil fuels has and continues to be a core demand and focus of Dayenu's work, as we also take action to accelerate the transition to a clean energy economy and ensure everyone benefits with clean air and water, good family-sustaining jobs, and a just, livable future. It was very powerful to stand among so many people who shared my values and felt called to turn up and speak out. Participating in the march made it clear to me how many people, Jews and non-Jews alike, are ready to mobilize. This is really a moment, ready to take action, bold action, and ready to demand more from their leaders. They're waiting for an invitation. So please consider tonight your invitation. And by planning an action, you're inviting your neighbors, friends, and family into this holy work to safeguard our communities today and for generations to come. As with many social movements, young people are leading the way. This week, college campuses and students across the country are hosting Sukkot teach-ins on their campuses, like on Monday night at Cornell. So you can see a picture here. Teach-ins have their origin on college campuses, beginning with the anti-war movement in the 1960s. And while teach-ins have a clear educational component, that's not their only purpose. They're also meant to spark conversation, collaboration, and most importantly, action. Our Sukkot teach-ins are designed to raise public awareness of federal climate legislation and build support on college campuses and beyond for funds to flow directly to communities that need them most. So I'm now going to invite Maya, a student at Cornell University, to share about why she hosted a teach-in and what she learned. Go for it, Maya.
Hi, I'm Maya, and this Monday I hosted a Sukkot teach-in at Cornell. And so, yeah, I found this to be a very meaningful experience for me. I was really happy to have this opportunity from Dayenu. I was a little bit out of my comfort zone because I haven't done very much climate action before, but I'm studying ecology and I'm really passionate about sustainability and the environment. So I'm really glad I gave it a try because the conversation that it sparked with my participants was really inspiring. And I think everybody got a lot out of it, especially me. And yeah, I'm really happy and I learned a lot.
Thanks, Maya. Yasher Koach. Excited to see the many more that happen. So here's our campaign plan moving forward this fall. As you can see on the screen, Dayenu Circles and others looking to get involved will focus on organizing local public-facing actions for this winter. So on this timeline, we're currently at October 4th, the campaign kickoff. And we are going into this moment of planning. The planning will take us to our goal to reach key policymakers and the general public who will be inspired by our actions to join our campaign, which will increase pressure on policymakers to act in their spring legislative sessions and in Congress. And we're encouraging you to start planning actions for mid-December, which is the Hanukkah season, because we know that it takes some weeks and time to plan a successful action. So I want to paint a picture of you of what one of these winter actions could look like. You can close your eyes if you feel comfortable. Imagine this. It's a crisp evening in December. You and your loved ones and your neighbors are gathered together around a giant menorah made collaboratively by a local artist and community member. A young person leads the group in Hanukkah candlelighting blessings. And as each candle of the menorah is lit, a different person describes ways that our historic climate legislation can move us toward just green recovery. For example, your state senator lights a candle to highlight the investments your state is making in climate action with funds from the Inflation Reduction Act. A partner from a frontline environmental justice organization lights a candle to shed light on the need to end fossil fuel extraction in their neighborhood. And maybe a young person lights a candle to illuminate our path toward a just, livable future and depicts the world they want to live in. Through these actions,
we can get our elected officials on record about what they are doing or will do to ensure investments in climate jobs, justice, and how they are reaching everyone in their area. We can invite partners and allies to share their experiences, labor unions, environmental justice groups, youth leaders, interfaith partners, you name it. And we can invite members of the press to tell the story. And critically, we can shine a light on what further action is needed to realize a just, livable future. So some Dayenu circles and leaders have already gotten started. I'm going to invite Talia Manning now, who leads the Dayenu Circle of the Upper Valley of Vermont and New Hampshire, to share what they're planning. Take it away, Talia.
Hi, thank you for inviting me to have the opportunity to share with you this evening. So with the historic flooding in Vermont and New Hampshire this past summer, we feel that it's an important time to spotlight the opportunities for rebuilding more resiliently with the help of the Inflation Reduction Act. Our Dayenu Circle is excited to do that through a public Hanukkah action in December by inviting and honoring members of our region who are advocating for climate justice to each light a candle in a beautiful evening ceremony around a large community menorah. We're planning to invite some state and national representatives, including our Jewish US Senator Bernie Sanders, as well as the new Jewish president of nearby Dartmouth College, local youth climate activists, interfaith clergy, and leaders of climate forward organizations and companies in our region to show our collective power and signal to our state leaders that we expect them to deliver Inflation Reduction Act funds to the communities that need them most.
Thanks so much, Talia. I'm so excited to see how your action and so many others across the country come together. We're going to demonstrate our power with actions throughout the country. Our goal is to support at least 20 actions. And we're asking you, will you join us to make this goal a reality? So you can give us some love in the chat if you're down, if you're going to join us. And if you're involved or want to learn more, you can fill out this interest form, the link of which is in the chat. All right, let's take a second to pull that up. And we're going to have time later to fill those out. So Dayenu is going to be here to support you each step of the way. We're going to be holding virtual weekly office hours every Wednesday from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 to 1 Pacific Time. And that's going to be starting next week, which will offer support and guidance for folks. And we'll also be in a few weeks sharing an action toolkit with help on nuts and bolts of planning a Hanukkah action. There really is a role for each of you to play in this campaign, and to help you identify that, we're going to put up a poll so we can indicate which role you might want to take on. So the options are build partnerships, recruit attendees, coordinate ritual music, media coordination, pop in where you're going to plug in. Awesome. Wow, seeing a lot of partnerships, building with local groups, amazing, and recruiting attendees. Something else, multi-talented, awesome. Coordination on ritual or music, that's beautiful. Let's get a couple more responses in here. Amazing. Thank you all so much for responding to that. I'm really excited about the ways that we're all going to be able to plug in and build some powerful actions throughout the country. So we're now going to give you 10 to 12 minutes to break out by state or region, to greet each other and get connected. There's a ton of folks on this call right now. And these are folks that maybe you'll want to organize an action with. And then we're going to come back together to close out the evening. Make sure to rejoin at the end of your breakout groups so that we can thank all of tonight's speakers and performers.
In our Thank you. Awesome. folks are going to be returning back, and we will welcome them back, and I will hand it over to Jenny Rosen, who in about 30 seconds or so, once we know we've got everyone back, we'll be closing out our program.
Welcome back. I know that time was brief, even briefer than we expected. If you're like me, you might have felt a little FOMO if you didn't make it to the group. For those who did, I was getting so many messages about great conversations that were happening and people who were connecting with others in their area. So hopefully that is just the start of some really powerful partnerships and collaborations. So I want to really encourage you to complete the interest form so that we'll be able to connect you with other folks, either who you met or who are in your area. I want to thank all of our speakers tonight and our musician, Kyle Lumley, for a fantastic program. I especially really loved hearing from Dayenu leaders across the country. We got to hear from quite a few of you tonight. You are the engine, the electric engine, of course, behind this movement. So before we say goodnight, just a few reminders to fill out the interest form. We'll drop the link in the chat one more time so that you can fill it out right away. It's really short. Second, save the date, next Wednesday, 2:30 to 3:30 Eastern, 11:30 to 12:30 Pacific, for our first office hours. And these office hours are really to support you to get started on planning public actions. And lastly, if you have any questions about this campaign, you can't make it to the office hours, you have ideas, you have questions about the campaign or about starting or leading a Dayenu circle or other ways to get involved with Dayenu, please feel free to email circles@dayenu.org, circles@dayenu.org. We're going to turn the chat back on. I think it's already on, just so that you can wish each other a good night. And on behalf of all of us at Dayenu, Moadim L'Simcha, much joy in this season. Thank you and good night.